Wagwan, you saucy little gangsters. Welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan, as always, friend. I do hope that you are doing well. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, which of course is the daily series here on Football Therapy, where I reflect on what's being said about Chelsea, giving you my thoughts on it, mate, for whatever that's worth, but more importantly, as always, asking for yours. Today, we are discussing something from the Mail, an exclusive from the Daily Mail Plus, talking about Colwill's long comeback. Apparently, England World Cup squad. What? I don't understand that. Reflecting a little bit on the article yesterday from The Guardian. Yes, it's Jacob Steinberg, but it's also David Heitner talking about Xabi Alonso being the choice for the Chelsea players. The Chelsea players want him as a gaffer. Now, I'm not one for player power, but yeah, let's just get this done. A little bit on the Athletic about the FA Cup final. Of course, we are expecting big Rob Sanchez to return back between the sticks and Garnacho. Yippee. So we've got all that to look forward to, and of course, we will preview the big banging game itself, which will be kicking off in 24 and a half hours at time of recording. And there will be a protest for Not a Project FC, guys, the organisers. I listened to them also. I want to speak a bit on them as well. They're very impressive, I found, on the Athletic Chelsea podcast. So yes, we'll talk about that a little bit and we'll preview the FA Cup final and build a lineup. And just have a little bit of fun. Do you know what I mean? What's life without fun? Loosen up a little bit, yeah? Get comfy, baby girl, lay back. Yep, one day I'll get a lady on that sofa back there, but until then. Right then, let's dive straight into it, shall we? This is Kieran Gill, Mail Sport reporter, speaks about Chelsea stuff, coaching while injured, how he's helped Wesley Fofana, has he? And talks over a new deal. Ooh, inside Levi Colwill's long, lonely road back. He reveals he's in prime position to make the World Cup squad. What? Surely that's mental. Anyway, let's find out. The world was sitting at Levi Colwill's feet, literally, in a sense, when the Club World Cup trophy was on the floor in front of him, and Chelsea's new central defender was crouching down, posing for a picture with an England flag draped over his shoulders. Then it happened. The ACL, 3 letters that a footballer never wishes to hear. Anyway, ACL injury, bad. It's only because Colwill's injury occurred so long ago that on the first day of pre-season training at Cobham, 3 weeks after beating Paris Saint-Germain in the final to become world champions, as he returns to try and help Chelsea lift the FA Cup. This is good for his club and potentially his country, ? Voice raised in tone. We are told Tuchel is set to attend the final between Man City at Wembley. Well, no surprise there. England manager attends the FA Cup final. While he will have his pick of Englishmen to pour over, particular attention should be paid to Colwill. I don't know if Chelsea will let him go to the World Cup after returning from an ACL. I'm sure the young man, this is me speaking, by the way, not the article. I'm sure the young man in Colwill himself would be like, yes, please, off I go. But, yeah, I mean, it seems kind of crazy. Tuchel had to submit a 55-man squad to FIFA by midnight on Monday this week. It is only provisional, but it's from his pool that he will select 26 players to represent England. The FA Cup have not announced who was chosen, but the Daily Mail Sport can reveal Colwill is included in that list of 55 players. But that is still fascinating. He's our best centre-back, and he's a young Englishman. So why the ruddy heck not? I mean, the medical team would be very twitchy, wouldn't they? They'd be like, no, stop it. Leave him alone. Just let him get to them. But it's the World Cup, innit? If you love him, let him go. He's like, you can't stop him. He talks about his recovery from, I'd recommend you go read this article, his recovery back from injury, behind the scenes, playing in the under-21s, still speaking with his home. He's really, really close with Wesley Fofana. They called each other twins. And of course, we've just so massively missed him. Of course, there's the narrative with Enzo Maresca, who's been already doing some sort of style, branding, posing thing on his Instagram. He's already gone full Pep Guardiola Man City. Maresca is going to be the Man City manager. I've never been so sure of anything. The way he's moving. Yeah, man. Look, it's screwed. Look, do you know what screwed us this season? Complete lack of competence from the Chelsea hierarchy and ownership, sporting leadership, and indeed players underperforming. But ultimately, like, you know, managers getting not backed, getting sacked, players not, you know, respecting the literal hierarchy. It's been a mess. Also, players underperforming, of course, have had their bits. But it did start with that little seed of a seed of danger of that Colwill ACL that was never addressed, and it sort of was it sort of grew and toxified, and here we are. Transition, please. There we go. Yeah, man, look, great news. If he genuinely is sweet as a nut, he's good to go. He has rested all season, but if his ACL is like rock solid, oh yeah, go World Cup. If everyone's blessing, I mean, it makes me a bit twitchy. I'd rather he waits to the Euros, personally, and you're very young, Levi. But, whatever. I'm also an England fan. If he goes to the World Cup and plays and does well, it's just going to make me feel good, personally. Let's move on and speak about this article by The Guardian, published this yesterday. Xabi Alonso earns the backing of Chelsea players as club talks progress. Now, this, I imagine, is moving at light speed. I do think he's interested. The more reports that come out, and the more reports that get confirmed by the likes of Ornstein that, you know, Xabi is interested if we can agree a deal. Apparently, Bilal Iqbali does really want to bring him. He does want to not do the company man. He wants to bring in the Galactico now and try this, and Xabi's the guy. He doesn't want to lose him to Liverpool. He doesn't want him to go somewhere else. He wants him. Then just do it, brother. Do you know what I mean? Just do what needs to be done, you know? Chelsea's players believe Xabi Alonso is the ideal candidate to become their new head coach. Talks with the Spaniards' camp are moving in the right direction, and the feeling in the dressing room is that the former Real Madrid and Leverkusen head coach is the man to get the team back on track. No agreement in place, of course, at the moment. Chelsea are open-minded as they work to appoint a successor to Liam Rosenior. It doesn't actually even feel like a successor to Rosenior. It still really feels like a successor to Maresca. After 106 days, Alonso is the front runner, but there's others, of course. Iraola's probably second in line, closely, I'd say, and then Silva, Glasner, and even Felipe Luis, and even Fabregas isn't entirely ruled out, although Fabregas is planning to continue at Como. I would speculate, personally, gang, that the situation with Cesc Fabregas is there's been conversations with him, and he's gone, yeah, maybe. Well, it's Chelsea, you know, or an opportunity, maybe. But I'm probably planning on staying here. I think it's in the ether. I don't think Chelsea have said, we'd like to hire you. Do you want to come and coach us? I think there's probably been what do you feel about this? And how would it be too early? And what do you think? Like, let's vibe out with me here. And he's probably gone, oh, I could do, who knows? But probably not, maybe. Ooh, I don't know. To the point where it's still a thing, basically. It's not been completely, eliminated. The general plan is Chelsea like him. He should continue at Como. But if everything else falls through, maybe you could get him in a room, basically. Similar, he'll be like Felipe Luis would be easier, but you know, there's exciting managers out there that aren't named Xabi Alonso. The situation, Chelsea are expected to accelerate after we face City in the final tomorrow. Of course, I'm previewing that game very shortly in today's content. Chelsea have also tracked Alonso's progress since he began his managerial career at Leverkusen in 2022 and have been waiting for him to come on the market. A little bit of PR briefing there. Oh, we always wanted him, gang. Oh, that guy's really good. Yeah, we liked him. The Arsene Wenger's when he always used to say he tried to sign every big player. Of course, he has the invincible double, nearly the invincible treble. There's a genuinely historical European season. The 44-year-old has been keen to learn lessons from his time at Real Madrid, where he lasted 34 games after failing to win over influential elements of the dressing room. Apparently Mbappe liked him. Mbappe, man, he's been hella inflammatory recently. I've been covering that on the second channel, Football Yannick. Go check that out if you're interested on the YouTube. But he came out in defence of Xabi Alonso. He really liked him. He didn't want him to be sacked. I'd say come to Chelsea, Kylian, but I don't think that would be good for Chelsea. As mental as that sounds. Yeah. Chelsea really like him. The recruitment structure is not about to change. They'll still have young players, but maybe there will be leniency shown. Chelsea, but there would be zero desire on Chelsea's part to impose players on him. So although they're still going to be like, look, we still want to get these young wicked talents, but we're not going to say, here's a player, coach him. You know, there's going to be like a, can you work with this guy now? We've touched wood, every piece of wood near, we've learned our lesson, and I'm not entirely sure they have. We're going to speak about the protest shortly. So, you know, at the very least, that should be able to apply pressure. If Chelsea can thrash out a deal with Alonso, it would help improve dressing room morale and influential players that have not hidden their disquiet over Maresca leaving, of course. A couple of players speaking out publicly, the Spanish-speaking contingent, they should be, like, happy and appeased with Xabi Alonso, of course, Spanish legend of the game. So, yeah, you'd think that'll be it. The players believe the next manager must be someone who can command the respect of the dressing room and keep the egos in line. Alonso appears to fit the bill. He was one of the greatest midfielders of his generation, winning multiple honours, including Champions League titles, Liverpool, Madrid, domestic titles with Bayern Munich. He was a key member of the Spain team that won the 2 Euros and a World Cup, so he was part of the super team. His standing in the world game, man, is incroyable. Really, really good. And if we get a free run at him, if the Scousers are keeping on a slot. But the narrative is here that he's the player's choice. Do we give in to player power? I think probably in this instance, yes. Let's move on. Alright then, so before we speak about the game, the players available, and preview it and talk about Man City and Chelsea and build a bit of lineup, I'd recommend you to listen to the Athletic Chelsea podcast, the Straight Out of Com podcast, where Liam Twomey, Chelsea correspondent, speaks to the two organisers of Not a Project CFC, which are the guys leading, it's a protest group. I must say it's very impressive. The early doors, the Super League protest was very impressive back in the day. Whenever that was, 2021. Was it? When was it? I have no idea. It was a few years ago. And, you know, since then there's been a few smaller ones. And when you get smaller protests, there might be a few lads on, you know, who's at a few jars. They're singing, you know, Frank, Lampard, we hate Tottenham, and then Blue go out, and it's all a bit disorganised. But these guys are meticulous in terms of how they've applied their logic. And hearing them both speak, I must say, is very impressive. They highlighted all the appropriate concerns about the hierarchy, where the money's coming from, how much is spent, you know, the patience, the this, that, and the other. And they were quite, I thought, really honest in terms of obviously wanting to support the team. That the march is, I believe, 1 or 1:30 in the march at Wembley Way. You could go check them out to learn. But the way they speak about it, they're very erudite. I was quite impressed, and they said all the right things. It's not like, you gotta get this lot out of the club, they're killing the club. No, it's like, yeah, they broke it down, like I said, quite meticulously, like financially, sporting, culture, connectivity to the team. I mean, I must say, I've not been happy as a Chelsea fan these last few years. I mean, I did quite enjoy last season, like a few players we got, and I'm not entirely without hope. I'm also realistic. I don't think they're going to sell anytime soon, but I do think acts like this applies the appropriate amount of pressure so that maybe positive change can happen at Chelsea with this custodians. You know, like maybe even things like the Xabi Alonso appointment and maybe a couple of good signings is from fan unrest and pressure being applied by such groups. So I think it's important to recognise that, and I'm always in favour of peaceful protests and getting your voice heard should you want to talk, man. It's important. Alright, let's talk about the game. So, our fearsome leader, Shane, Callum McFarlane. It's going to be like, in a few years, for you friends of mine that support the channel, Football Therapy, he's going to be, let's be like a throwback meme, Shane. Like, what? It would be like a Football Therapy pub quiz question in like 2030. So yes, Chelsea hopeful of Garnacho and Sanchez return for FA Cup finale. Chelsea have been given a lift. I mean, for the goalkeeper, I'd say probably a little bit. But that Sanchez, Neto, and Garnacho are all set to make the squad. Well, Neto might be important. It's going to be really interesting, actually, when we build a lineup. Because it'll be tempting to go for a very similar lineup to the Anfield thing. But if Neto's back as well, it might be tricky. Garnacho's the only natural left-sided player. It will be tempting to maybe throw Neto in there just as a hard worker. Sanchez missed the 1-1 draw at Liverpool due to the head injury he suffered, of course. Neto and Garnacho have not featured in the last 2 match weeks, suffering muscular injuries in training, which has left Chelsea without any senior wingers to choose from. Of course, Gittins and Esteban, both hamstring, are ruled out. Quote, Pedro and Garnacho have trained this week, so looking really good, really hopeful of them as well, so positive signs, said McFarlane, #Shane. Pressed on whether Sanchez is fit to start, he said, yes, really positive, he trained, really hopeful to get him Saturday. Bit harsh on, I say Jorgensen, but he's had some games, Jorgensen, hasn't he, so... Reece James, he's trained well this week, happy with Reece, good to get him some minutes before so Colwill's same story. All look pretty good in terms of players coming back. So, yeah. Should we talk about this game then, man? It's a big one. You don't get much bigger than the Football Association's Cup. I love the FA Cup. We haven't had one for nearly 10 years. Chelsea got a bunch. It's Chelsea heritage. I want another one. And I want it now. Man City have beaten us for the last 400,000 times in a row, I believe it is. Scoring 1,000 goals. No, that wouldn't work. Scoring 1,000,000 goals to 1 or something like that. Anyway, point being, they've slapped us up all over the gaff, and we haven't beaten them since that Porto victory, Champions League final 2021. Totally unacceptable, and I hate it. Now, it's a lot of pressure for a team that's faltering, floundering, and our coach doesn't have a pro license, and he's quite literally coaching at Wembley in an FA Cup final against Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. But then again, Shane's got the juice, so we can hope something happens there. It's tough. I really want to win, and we are such heavy outsiders. Like, people will expect us to get slapped. I don't know if necessarily we win. It might be a narrow loss, but we could win. Let's talk about Man City quickly, right? So they did a bit of rotation in their last game a couple of days ago. They rested Cherki, Haaland, Doku, and O'Reilly, who are like their most important players at the moment. And they still won 3-0 comfortably against what was in recent history a bogey team in Crystal Palace. So well done them. Keep winning, and hopefully Arsenal drop points and lose the league. Let's just all do that and let us have the FA Cup. But this is the game before against Brentford. So this is their, I suppose, first team, in inverted commas. Although I think it won't be Ake. I think it will be, what's his face? The Uzbek defender. What is his name that had a horrible debut against us? He's not on the squad here. What's his freaking name? Oh my god, that's going to kill me. I need to pause. Kusanov. It's Kusanov. So I reckon it'll be him instead of Ake. Nunez, get in front of obviously Gigi Donnarumma. Nunez, Gehi, Kusanov, O'Reilly, probably, yeah. Silver and Reinders? Don't know if Reinders will be starting in there. It might be. If there's no Rodri. If there's Rodri, it'll be Rodri and Silva. And then, yeah, this front four. This devastatingly frightening front four. Semenyo, Doku's on some like weird, insanely weird tear up at the moment where he's just like the best player in the world. Cherki's different gravy granules, mate. And Haaland's found a bit of form again. Just in time, though he's never, ever scored in a final against Chelsea. Chelsea, no, scored in a final for Man City. Like, ever. That's pretty mad, isn't it? Don't you think? I mean, okay. Oh, look. This is a fizzy drink brand. Other brands are available. and it's green screening. That's fun. Delicious. Yeah, man. Haaland's never scored in the final for Man City. Don't try now. I mean, they've got so many. I mean, this is like Nico O'Reilly could have just scored 2 like he did in the League Cup final against Arsenal. Let's make no bones about it, gang. We're up against a pretty mean opponent at the moment. They're finding form. They are really good. I'd argue they're in better form than Arsenal, but Arsenal have just got to beat Burnley at home and Crystal Palace 3 days away from a Europa League conference final where they can't get relegated and they can't qualify for Europe. So they're literally going to put out the under 10s against Arsenal. And Burnley are the worst team in the league now, and Arsenal have got them at home. They win those 2 games, they've won the league. It's sickening stuff. Really is. Disgusting. And I hate it. But let's not talk about those knobbers. And let's build a lineup for our Chelsea boys to take on the big evil Man City. Right. So, Shane, how are we going to line up? Let's put Sanchez in goal firstly. I think he's locked. Let's put Joao Pedro. He's been linked to all sorts of transfers for 100 million. I was going to talk about it in today's news content, but I'll put a pin in that for the minute. Is it going to be this like auxiliary back 3 again? I think it might be, you know. I genuinely think it might be. So let's move these men around a little bit. Okay, here we go. You go there. You pop down there. You snuggle down there. Here we go. Lovely. It's going to be a box midfield. Oh, spoiler. Am I not using wingers? I don't think I am. Levi Raddy Colwill in his favoured CCB role. His bestie buddy twin might not be the favourite for Chelsea fans at the moment, but Wesley Fofana I think will partner him because this is what suits them in theory. It's harsh on Trevoh Chalobah. I don't actually think he's going to start. He always starts finals for Chelsea, but I have a feeling he won't. And I have a feeling it will be Jarell Hatto there. Same again. Despite... Actually, because Reece James I think is going to start. But I want to see him as a right wing back. If you want to talk about Porto 2021 Champions League final, we're talking about Reece James starting as a right wing back, tearing it up. I have a feeling, because you could easily see this, no Fofana, and then Gusto starts. But this is my lineup, gosh darn it. And I'm going to go how I want. Excuse me. Is going to be our auxiliary left winger again. I think it's going to be the same gang, but with Reece James starting. Caicedo. Here he is. Now, Lavia is a weird one. I do think we play better with him, or in theory... you think against Man City as well. I know Santos is good and the Kai Santos pivot is making a comeback. But despite all that, I'm going to give the classic 60 minutes to Romeo Lavia. He's still not played 90 minutes for Chelsea in his entire career. Very strange, peculiar, actually feel bad. Obviously, Palmer will have to start against his former club, and he did look a little bit better. Of course, Enzo Fernandez has probably been our man in form for a little while, apart from Joao Pedro, and he, of course, scored at the Etihad. Under Shane's coaching, McFarlane got a 1-1 draw away at the Etihad and Fernandes scored that goal. So there's your box midfield. Of course, if you look at Sky Sports, Sky Sports or BBC because it's FA Cup, whatever, but Sky Sports do show us a 4-2-3-1 with Fernandes in the 10, Cucurella quite literally as the right winger, Palmer as the left winger, Hatto as the left back, Levi Cole left back, Reece James right back. There you go, 4-2-3-1. Probably will change in different shapes, but that's the personnel. Garnacho, some legs off the bench. Neto, some legs off the bench. Neto is a good player. He's been broadly good for Chelsea. Not amazing. He's had important stints of form, but he's been quite poor recently. I would wonder if off the bench, those two guys can make a big difference as like runners and pressers if we can have a robust initial setup. And try and win the game, man. It's tough. I mean, for me, I'll reiterate what I said before. That friggin' that goal that West Ham equaliser being disallowed is like a seminal moment in Premier League football history, broadly because it's like, VAR. It's the biggest decision in VAR's history. But from not like a Schadenfreude Chelsea fan, I want Arsenal to bottle it kind of vibe. I think it's screwed Chelsea. Because if that happened, Man City, it's not out of their hands anymore, and the Premier League is the priority. But that goal, that decision, that VAR intervention turned the tide, so now the FA Cup's the priority for Man City, excuse me. So I'm so annoyed on like a personal Chelsea fan level, because at least if that goal was given for West Ham, Man City would be like, right, it's in our hands. And especially after that 3-0, win midweek, I know they probably would have done it with a stronger team. It might have been 4 or 5 with like Doku and Cherky starting. They'd be like, right, we're well ahead in goal difference. All we got to do is win our last games, like Arsenal. Then you're back. It's 2 games. It's 2 games for Man City's Guardiola to win. They're not the easiest of games, but like Bournemouth's tough at the moment and stuff like that. Villa, they're tough games, but it's Man City, Guardiola, end game, 2 games, and you win the title. That for me would have been like, all eyes would have been on that, Whereas now it's Arsenal going to win the title, so let's just make sure we win the FA Cup against Chelsea, which is devastating. Still, I mean, the worst thing City could have is going to like 120 minutes and not winning, or even just going to 120 minutes and putting themselves in a position where their next game is tough. We still got a big game against Tottenham to try and relegate them. That's so important for Chelsea. I'm going to predict... I mean, it just feels like so unlikely that we win this game. I'm going to look at the odds. Let's have a look then. Yep, we are 4-1. So I mean, that's a pretty big outsider for a final. Not quite like, it could be worse. But it's not very good. I'm going to be positive and say we lift the trophy, but probably not in 90 minutes. And I would do anything for the FA Cup, but I won't do that, whatever that is. Let me know what you think, though. Please do leave your comments down in the comment section on YouTube. Thank you for liking and subscribing, dropping those sweet hype points down here somewhere. Thank you for following and 5-starring this in podcast format by searching Football Therapy Podcast on your platform that you use for podcasts. Very grateful for that. And just keep it locked generally, man. I'll see you back here soon. Enjoy the football. Peace.